The night was suffocating. The air thick with an unnatural stillness that seemed to choke the forest surrounding Blackened Lake. Twisted, leafless trees stretched their skeletal branches toward a sky heavy with storm clouds, blotting out the moon. The lake itself was a void of inky blackness, its surface mirror smooth, yet pulsing with faint, unnatural ripples that moved against the wind. A sickly, pale glow emanated from the water, as if something deep below cast its own light. A weathered, wooden sign, half sunken into the muddy shore, bore the words "Blackened Lake." Keep out, its faded letters etched with desperation. The wind carried a low, mournful hum, like a dirge rising from the earth. Mingled with the faint stench of decay that clung to the air, 4 figures emerged from the forest's edge, their flashlights piercing the darkness with weak, trembling beams. Zara, a driven journalist with a camera slung around her neck, led the group, her eyes alight with determination to uncover the truth behind the lake's legend. She had heard the stories of the Phantom, a spirit said to claim anyone who ventured too close, and saw this as her chance for a breakthrough story. Cameron, a skeptical historian, clutched a worn notebook, his rational mind dismissing the tales but intrigued by the lake's documented history of vanishings. Aisha, a nervous college student assisting Zara, gripped her flashlight tightly, her steps faltering as childhood stories of the lake's curse echoed in her mind. Omar, a local guide with a grim, weathered face, carried a backpack of supplies, his silence hinting at a deeper knowledge of the lake's secrets he refused to share. The group reached the shore, their boots sinking into the black, viscous mud that seemed to pull at them. Zara knelt to inspect the sign, her fingers brushing the carved words as her camera captured the eerie scene. The lake watched them, its ripples growing stronger, as if stirred by their presence. Cameron flipped through his notebook, his flashlight, illuminating pages of notes about the lake's sacred sites centuries ago, abandoned after a nearby village vanished without a trace. Aisha's beams swept across the water, catching a fleeting glimpse of something pale and shapeless beneath the surface, gone before she could focus. Omar's eyes darted to the trees, where shadows shifted, forming vague, humanoid outlines that dissolved when stared at directly. The hum grew louder, vibrating through the ground, and the air turned colder. Pressing against their skin, Zara, undaunted, urged the group to follow the shoreline toward a crumbling stone pier that jutted into the lake like a broken finger. The pier stones were slick with black moss, etched with spiraling symbols that glowed faintly under the flashlight beams, as if alive. Imran paused to sketch one, his hand trembling as the symbols seemed to writhe on the stone, defying his rational explanations. Aisha's breath caught as she noticed ripples spreading from the lake's center, though no breeze stirred the air. Omar's hand rested on a knife at his belt, his eyes scanning the water as if expecting something to rise. The group moved forward, their footsteps muffled by the mud. The hum now joined by whisper-soft, incoherent words, heavy with grief and warning. The pier led to a rotting boathouse, its wooden walls sagging under the weight of black algae that glistened like oil. The door hung ajar, creaking as Zara pushed it open, revealing a dank interior thick with the stench of rot. Broken oars and rusted fishing gear littered the floor, and a cracked mirror hung crookedly on the wall, its surface clouded but reflecting an unnatural light. Aisha's flashlight swept across it, and for a fleeting moment, the mirror showed not their reflections, but a group of waterlogged figures. Pale, bloated, with hollow eyes and mouths open in silent screams. The image vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving Aisha frozen, her pulse racing. Kamran, noticing her distress, checked his notebook, finding a sketch of the spiraling symbols he didn't recall drawing, its lines unnervingly precise. Zara's determination pushed the group onward, her focus unyielding despite the growing dread. She spotted a decrepit rowboat tied to the pier, its blackened wood slick and unnatural, as if the lake had claimed it. Omar's face tightened, but he followed as Zara climbed aboard, the boat rocking violently as if resisting their weight. Kamran took the oars, rowing them toward the lake's center where the ripples pulsed strongest. The water clung to the oars like tar, slowing their progress. And Aisha's flashlight flickered, catching glimpses of pale shapes moving just below the surface, hands, faces, or something less human. The whispers grew into a chorus, pleading stay, stay, in voices that seemed to come from the water itself. The air grew colder, the glow brighter, casting the group in a sickly, greenish hue. The boat halted abruptly, caught by an unseen force. The lake's glow intensified, illuminating the group's terrified faces. Zara's camera glitched, its screen flashing images of a woman in a tattered, water-soaked dress, her hair streaming like seaweed. Her eyes, black voids. The figure appeared in the water, just below the surface, her pale hands reaching upward, brushing the boat's hull. Aisha screamed, dropping her flashlight, which sank into the lake, its light fading as it descended. Kamran's oars snapped, the wood splintering as if crushed by an invisible grip. Omar's knife fell from his hand, swallowed by the water, and the boat began to tilt, the lake pulling it downward. The group scrambled to the shore, their movements frantic as the boat sank behind them. The mud seemed to grasp at their ankles, slowing their escape. The whispers turned into wails, a cacophony of voices screaming in anguish and rage. The trees along the shore bent inward, their branches twisting into claw-like shapes that blocked the path. Zara's camera captured fleeting glimpses of the woman from the lake, now standing on the shore, her form flickering like a broken film reel. Her face was a mask of sorrow, but her eyes burned with malice, and her hands dripped with black, viscous water that stained the ground. The group stumbled into the forest, the lake's glow fading behind them, but the wails growing louder. The trees seemed to close in, their branches scraping at the group's clothes and skin. Aisha's flashlight was gone, and Kamran's flickered, its beam revealing symbols carved into the tree trunks, glowing with the same sickly light as the lake. Zara's camera battery drained rapidly, its screen now showing only the woman's face, her mouth moving as if chanting. Omar led them toward a clearing, his knowledge of the forest their only guide. But the path twisted, looping back toward the lake, despite their efforts to flee. The clearing revealed an ancient stone altar, its surface stained with dark, dried blood and etched with the same spiraling symbols. The air here was heavier, the hum now a deafening pulse that shook the ground. The group stopped, their breaths ragged, as the woman appeared at the clearing's edge, her form more solid but no less terrifying. Her dress clung to her skeletal frame and her hands reached out, beckoning them toward the altar. The camera captured her fully now, its lens glitching to show flashes of the vanished village people screaming, dragged into the lake by unseen hands, their faces frozen in terror. The ground beneath the altar cracked, black water seeping up and pooling around the group's feet. The wails became screams, and the air filled with the scent of decay. Aisha collapsed, her hands clawing at the mud as the water seemed to pull her downward. Kamran tried to help, but his notebook burst into flames, the symbols glowing red before turning to ash. Zara's camera fell, its lens cracking, but it continued to record, capturing the woman's face as she loomed over the group. Omar stood frozen, his eyes wide with recognition, as if he knew her from some forgotten story. The lake's glow enveloped the clearing, and the group vanished into the light. The camera, now on the ground, recorded the altar as it sank into the earth, the black water swallowing it whole. The woman's figure lingered, her eyes staring directly into the lens before she dissolved into mist. The forest fell silent, the hum and wails gone, leaving only the sound of dripping water. The final frame showed the lake, its surface smooth once more, reflecting nothing but the storm clouds above. A single ripple spread outward, and the screen went black.